it's night and day.
Here's
in Houston,
why
they're like, nope, we got you. In Oakland, they say, we can't find him.
Here's why I don't like the N-word. I don't care about Nigga. Here's why I don't like Nigger. There's no equivalent. I don't care what other race, nationality, religion you are. There is no other word that is as definitive and as brutal of like an argument closer. Like if you and I got into an argument and I just go, fuck you, it's the end of the argument. Like I've lost my shit so much. I can't get any more points of clarity to try to convince you of my side. I lost the argument. Fuck you. That's the way I'm going to end the argument. Definitive. Same thing with the N-word. Now the problem is if and that's why it's not fair. If other cultures, I don't care what you say, Mick, Wop, Guinea, Spick, fag. I don't care. None of those are as offensive. And I don't know if that's just like it's cultural. Like we've been, and maybe it's like it's just a word. I get that, but there is some validity to it being like the definitive, most harshest insult to a selective group of people in the world. Now, here's my caveat: if you said WAP, Dago, greaseball, or spick, or whatever it else is, right? And a chink, and I'll say all the ones for equal opportunity. If even Jew is so normalized now. When I was a kid in grammar school, you couldn't call somebody a Jew. You get in big trouble for that. But now it's like, thanks to Twitter, it's almost preferred. If by some chance we all had that equal word that was like, dude, that's just whoa, then I would be like, you could say the N-word as much as you want as an argument closer because that person can fire back with the same level of equality. Sadly, the black community does have retribution, and the public, which I don't agree with, thinks that if somebody calls somebody the N-word, that is justifiable for them to physically be violent towards them. Fuck that. When I see that shit, I'm like, I'm going to say it. If you punch me and you're insulted like that, I'm breaking that word out a fucking million times. So if it bothers you that bad, I can't stand that shit. That's just my 2 cents.
There's also, I mean, you mentioned it at the top of that rant. I guess there's obviously a difference between the hard R and the A, or even the AH, right? I think we all remember the Boondocks episode, like you throw the H on the end. But even now, we've gone so far where, I mean, the hard R is like, I mean, persona non grata. Like, you would be canceled easily for just dropping the A or the AH in an end of an argument. But we've gotten so, I mean, just think about the levels, bro. Like, we've gotten so far off the plot, right? And I know this is apples to oranges, but when you're talking about a portion of the population that is willing to believe they are the opposite gender, of course, after that, like I always say, everything falls into place. So a word is enough to trigger you so you fly off the handle. You could literally beat somebody into a paste, and your excuse will be they didn't even have to drop the hard R. I don't know.
No, it's no Nigga. They've got all these people doing pranks. Every culture has their like their term of endearment. Hispanics have way. It's boy or way, either one. It means castrated work bull. And when I first started working in the restaurant industry,
is that what that means?
Yeah, it's like that's what I was told. It's a castrated work bull, and it's kind of like it's our version of dude. But you can't call somebody you don't know. Like, you can't go up to a Hispanic guy and go, hey, wait, kind of that way. It's like, what? Okay. No mame's way. You can't say that because that's like, no, you cross that line. How many women don't like being called a bitch, but they'll call each other bitch? Oh, bitch. It's like, there's always those terms of endearment. I don't like the fact that there's a distinctible intent behind a word. I've always said this. Words are words, right? I can call you a fucking spoon. I can call you a fork. Hey, you piece of carpet. It's whatever the intent is behind that word is the problem. So if you have somebody who's using the words as a term of endearment, fine. Where the culture lost me is you litter. Now I'm all for, and I've said this a million times. I'm not. I have no idea how the fucking people glorified Mark Furman after his bullshit back at the O.J. Simpson trial, Where here he is, oh, I've never said the N-word, and then you got a whole fucking recording of him, and now he's a celebrated detective. It's ridiculous. That's how stupid we are as a culture. But I have absolutely said the word. I've said the word in jokes. I've said the word as 100%. There was a girl I dated years ago. We called each other that, hard R, as a term of endearment. I'm not fucking kidding. It was her idea. And I went, oh my God, I love you. So stupid. And I used it. I said it a million times. It was a time I was so angry because my father was attacked and beaten by 3 black guys that I put a distinctive adjective at the front of that word and said that word a shit ton of times. I was so pissed because that was my level of just getting the fury and rage out of my system. I said the hardest shit possible so I would feel this purge of anger and pain. But when you take a term of endearment and you go and you start swinging on people who come up and say it because the NIGGA is your culture, and you got people who want to do it. Like, you could say, dude, you're not part of our group, man. You can't say that. I get that. I can't think of anything of Italian that would fucking bother me, except for when people hang like Casino and Goodfellas posters up in their rooms when they're black and Hispanic and other Asian. I'm like, dude, you're not Italian. Stop that shit. That's cultural appropriation.
Remember when I don't even know if you can say this, when little Fredo Cuomo, little Chris Cuomo said, bro, remember this was a couple years ago. He said, well, calling a journalist fake news is like the N-word for black people. These people are just grasping at straws.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe that's how silly it is, right? I mean, to his credit, like maybe that's how silly it is. And if you have something bad happen to you and you decide that you're going to drop the N-bomb all over the place, there's still a large group of people that would say that is actually worse than what you may have gone through, which is just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care. I don't know. Like, I'm just not one of those guys who's into ancestry. And I know where my family came from, like Naples, Calabria, Sicily. I don't give a shit. I have no desire to go back to the old country. I was never somebody who sat there and like, once my mother died, I'm like, oh, those traditions are gone. I just don't care anymore. You know, I mean, plastic on the couch and Sunday dinner with gravy. I don't care. So if you're going to come into my world and like think you're going to insult me with like anything, I don't get how you could celebrate a word and a term. And Richard Pryor, his stand-up on the word was fantastic, where he said he went to Africa and he's never using that word again. I just don't think that anybody has the right to be called any insult, including the hard R, and swing back on somebody and say that's acceptable. I just don't.